చేశాను చేశాను. మేడం గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ మేడం, వాయిస్ బాగానే ఉందా? జీవన మేడం.
సార్ చెప్పండి సార్.
అదే ఆడిబిలిటీ బాగానే ఉంది కదండి నేను అది.
బానే ఉంది సార్, బానే ఉందండి. అది యూట్యూబ్ లింక్ కూడా యాక్టివ్ గానే ఉంది సార్, చెక్ చేశానండి.
అదే నేను యూట్యూబ్ లింక్ మాకు డబుల్ వాయిస్ వచ్చేస్తుంది, కట్ చేస్తాను.
ఓకే సార్.
మేడం జాయిన్ అయిన తర్వాత ఒకసారి చెప్పండి.
ఓకే సార్, ఓకే సార్.
మేడం,
సార్ చెప్పండి సార్.
ఈ స్లైడ్ మీకు వాట్సాప్ లో షేర్ చేస్తాను.
ఓకే అండి.
మీరు స్క్రీన్ షాట్ చేయండి.
ఓకే సార్, ఓకే సార్.
నాకు ఒక డబుల్ వాయిస్ వచ్చేస్తుంది మేడం. నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఇప్పుడు మీకు హోస్ట్ ఇచ్చి లీవ్ అవుతాను, మళ్ళీ జాయిన్ అవుతాను నేను.
ఓకే సార్, అలాగే సార్.
మేడం మొత్తం మీ డెస్క్టాప్ వచ్చేసినట్టుంది స్క్రీన్ షేరింగ్.
సార్ వచ్చింది సార్ ఇప్పుడు.
చూసాను బాగానే ఉంది. ఓకే.
ఓకే సార్.
మేడం అందరినీ కూడా మ్యూట్ చేసేయండి పర్మిషన్స్.
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే సార్.
వెల్కమ్ మేడం. వెల్కమ్ టు SRKR Engineering College, Department of CSE.
థ్యాంక్స్ అండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, Madam Pushpalata, Madam.
Good afternoon, sir.
Welcome to the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, SRKR Engineering College, Madam. Sorry, I'm unable to unmute my video as I'm in travel. Sorry for the inconvenience. Our college is established in the year 1980, ma'am, with a vision of creating engineers from a rural background to cater the needs of the society. With that view, the college was started, and it is flourishing day by day. And now it is celebrating 43 years of excellence, 44 years of excellence. Our Department of Computer Science and Engineering is established in the year 1991. Okay, and now with an intake of 40, now it is with an intake of 360 students, ma'am. With this few introduction, I would like to welcome you and for our college, and it is our pleasure to have you with us in this webinar on Microsoft Azure. Welcome, madam.
Thank you, sir, for such a warm welcome, and I'm very glad to hear about your college. Yeah, and thanks for SRKR for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my insights on Microsoft Azure.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, the participants in this Zoom meeting is limited, but we have sent the YouTube live link to all the students, ma'am. They are joining through YouTube live link, ma'am.
Oh, okay, sir. Yeah.
Okay, they will have live chat also from the YouTube link. Then, if there are any queries, then I will post it in the Zoom link, and you can answer the queries.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, madam. Introduce today's resource person, Pushpalata, madam, to the audience.
Yes, sir. I would like to invite Anjani Kranti madam to introduce today's chief guest, Miss Pushpalata madam.
Good afternoon, one and all. Manthana Pushpalata garu is currently working as a consultant in Microsoft Global Delivery. Prior to that, she is working as a technology assistant in Infosys. She has 9 years of experience as a software professional. She has been awarded as RISE Award by Microsoft in the year 2013. Other than that, she is a topper in MTech from Andhra University in 2016. I feel sincerely obliged to invite today's resource person, M. Pushpalata garu, to take over the session on Microsoft Azure. We welcome you, ma'am.
Once again, thank you, ma'am, for your warm welcome and for this opportunity. So let me share my screen to start upon the webinar on Microsoft Azure.
Yes, madam, you can share your screen and start your session. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
screen is visible, ma'am.
So, welcome to Microsoft Azure. With the help of Azure, we can transform our business with secure, reliable, and scalable cloud services. How are we going to transform our business? We'll be seeing in the next slides. So, coming to today's agenda, we'll have the fundamentals of cloud computing, Azure services and solutions, Azure components, and some real-world examples of Azure usage, like some real-time projects that I have worked on. Why we are going to discuss about the fundamentals of cloud computing. Today's discussion, Microsoft Azure is a cloud computing platform. So we have to know some basics about the cloud computing. So anyone aware of what is cloud computing and where it is being used? So, sir, the students will ping in the chat, or I can go with the flow. Okay, so we'll discuss how Microsoft Azure fits into the cloud computing landscape, and we will see how various services and solutions offered by Azure, including how it acts as a infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, and we'll also see some real world examples or real world projects where the Azure is being used, and how it is helping to scale our businesses and optimize the operations. Basically, Azure is mainly used in integrations. So what is integration? Integration is nothing but connecting one application to another application through some application programming interface, APIs. So are we aware of applications, APIs? Okay, let's discuss. So definition of cloud computing. Cloud computing is the delivery of computing service over the internet. If we see now, all the servers, storage, network, software, analytics, intelligence were delivered through internet in olden days. Like there used to be a big infrastructure locally, like mainframes, where we use the mainframes for storage. But here in this case, we have everything in the cloud. We don't need any infrastructure locally, which will reduce the operational cost. Cloud computing has on-demand self-service, like broad network access, resource pooling, and rapid elasticity. What is on-demand self-service? On-demand self-service is nothing but, for example, if you have booked a storage for some memory, and based on the usage, you want to extend your memory, then as per your demand, you can extend it. Whereas if you have installed a pre-built mainframe in your system, it is very difficult for you to extend your storage. So in that case, you need to use it very optimally. Whereas here, there is pay as you go method. Means if you want to extend your storage, you can pay extra and you can get more storage, more network access, more resources whenever required. So these are some of the advantages of cloud computing. So if we see the benefits, cost savings, as I've said, that we are replacing the infrastructure, physical infrastructure. We have everything in the cloud. So much cost is being saved there. And scalability and flexibility. As I have told already, if we want to increase the storage, we can increase on the go. And it's not like if you want to change the location. In 2020, when we are hit with the pandemic, we were moved to different places. So if your application is in the cloud, you can access it from anywhere. And it's also available from anywhere. And we have very much enhanced security with cloud computing. So what is cloud and who are offering us these clouds? So these are few of the cloud service providers: Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, IBM Cloud, and Oracle Cloud. So whom to select? So we can select based on our requirement, our business, based on the cloud profile, cloud service provider expertise, experience, and based on the resources that are available inside them. And since I'm working in Microsoft, I have knowledge of Microsoft Azure, and it's very plug and play kind of a software where we can easily work on. Let me know if my pace is fine, or if you want me to adjust, I can change. I can slow down a bit.
No, madam, it is clear. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. So what is Microsoft Azure Services? As we have seen that Microsoft Azure is a cloud computing platform that provides a wide range of services to help the businesses and organizations achieve their digital transformation goals. And we will also explore the key features, benefits, including its global scalability and hybrid cloud capabilities. What is global scalability? So one of the key features of Azure services is its global scalability, where you can scale up and down based on your needs. For example, if you are if you get a Microsoft Azure subscription, and if you feel like you are not going to use one resource anymore, you can shut it out so that your pricing will get reduced. And even same with the storage, same with the networking and hybrid cloud capabilities. Azure services provide hybrid cloud capabilities, allowing seamlessly integrate with on-premises infrastructure. You can connect to any third-party vendor that you want to with the APIs. API, we have API management in Azure services, with which you can integrate with any other vendor which you want to integrate with and get their data. The same comes here. Azure fundamentals, we have this cost effectiveness, and we have 2000 plus services and solutions that are being offered by Azure, and the same advantages as cloud computing, that is scalability and flexibility, availability, reliability, and cost effectiveness. So basically, I want to take some example of a D365. This is the D365 screen, which we Microsoft GD people will be working on. So, and we will integrate this D365 with other vendors using Microsoft Azure. So for example, if I see that we have multiple accounts, contacts that are being created, for example, to understand more about the business, it's about customer management. So for example, if there is a application like Trivago, so we all sign in with the Trivago, yes. So for that, what if I assume this UI is for Trivago registration? So we what generally Trivago does is it creates contacts or accounts based on the customer type, and it will give us a sign in. So this particular contact is a sign in contact for Trivago. Then it will show us the options for all the hotels. Yes, I'm just taking it as an example for clear understanding. It's the context is same, but we use it in a different way. My project is also something like we do apartment leasing in US. So where we create, for example, there's a person who created a sign in for my application. We'll create one contact for that person, and when that person looks after the hotels in the application, then if there is a chance that they might pre-book it, they might book it. So if a person pre-books it, we convert that contact to a lead. It means there's a chance that the person will book the hotel. If the person books it, it's nothing but an opportunity. So this is for general example. But how Trivago is getting all the details of the other hotels is the place where integration comes in picture. So what will happen is Trivago will be in touch with all the other hotels continuously and get their data and sync their data back to the CRM, and it will show the availability for the contacts. So for this integration to happen, we need Microsoft Azure, where we develop an integration management service inside it, and we'll get the data of the other hotels. So we discussed that we need Microsoft Azure. So how do we get it? So for Microsoft Azure, we need to get the subscription, and it has some amount to pay, some basic amount like $1 or some. The free trial comes with $1, and based on the resources you use, the amount will be billed. So once you get the subscription, and let me show you the screen, you will be able to access this portal.azure.com. And when you create a subscription, a directory will be created for you, which contains all the resource groups, storage accounts, users, virtual machines. If you see, these are all the services that are being provided by Azure. Subscriptions, Logic Apps, Service Bus, Azure Data Factory, Key Vaults, etc., etc. So under each directory, we'll have one tenant and a domain. For example, if we see the real-time, how the real-time project execution happens is, we do development in one environment, yes, like dev environment, and we will move that entire solution, we call it as solution, we move that entire solution to test environment, where the QA people, quality assurance people, will test your whole application, and then we'll move it to UAT. UAT is user acceptance testing, where the sometimes the customers itself will do testing in the UAT environment, and once we get the sign off, then only we move it to the production. So how are we going to differentiate whether it is a dev environment, or it's a test environment, or UAT, or prod? We define different resource groups under which we divide them into dev environment, test, UAT, and prod, where we'll give only access to the developers for the dev environment, and for the QA team, we give the test access, and for customers, we have UAT access, and only some restricted persons will have the production access. So what is an Azure tenant? An Azure tenant is a dedicated and isolated instance of Azure AD. It represents an organization's account and holds all the Azure resources. So Microsoft has come up with one new project. So they will buy one Azure subscription. So that subscription belongs to that person. For example, Conteso. We take the example of the project name as Conteso. So that project people will create a subscription, and they will create one Azure tenant which have all the resources, users who will access that Microsoft Azure in one tenant. And single sign-on, role-based access control, and centralized management of Azure resources. As I've said, even though you have one tenant, we'll create multiple resource groups and will provide access only to those users whom we want to share the access with. And so with one Azure tenant, we can manage multiple subscriptions, and we can segregate our resources, controlling access across different departments or projects within an organization. Why do you may get, why do we need to segregate the resources? Why do we need to control the access? Because all the persons belong to the same project. So I'm a developer. So I'll develop some API and I'll move it to test. And if there's some issue, I shouldn't be the one who should update it in the test environment. There will be a process so that the testing team will test that and will send back to me as a bug or as an enhancement, so that I will update. So that restriction or controlling of access should be there for any application that we are working. So Azure subscription. What is an Azure subscription? It is a logical container where we manage all the resources. Like in the previous slide, in the screenshot I've shown, with one subscription, we were able to create virtual machines, database, storage accounts, etc., etc. So we can start up with a free trial, and you can choose your subscription plan accordingly. Like there are, if you see, there are two models where we can subscribe. One is like pay as you go, or the other one is a subscription. So for example, if we see, we generally get all these pop-ups. After 2 free trials, you need to buy the subscription. It is like if you pay for 1 month, it's 500, and if you pay for 1 year, it's only 1,000. All that things. So there are either you can get in that way, or you can say that I'll pay you based on my usage, pay as you go method. In the Azure subscription, we can see our billing, our usage, what all resources I am using, and what all networking I'm using, and based on that you can see how much bill you are going to get. And if you feel the bill is really going high, and you want to shut down your some of the resources, you can. So you feel that right now I'm not using the SQL DB, so let me turn it off for now so that the price get reduced. So you can control your pricing in the Azure subscription. Resource groups. What are resource groups? Resource groups are collection of Azure resources that are organized and managed together. Resource group provide the capability to manage the life cycle of any type of Azure resources. So basically, in real time, where we created this resource group is for anything that we develop, we create 4 resource groups: one for dev, one for test, one for UAT, and one for prod. And we have everything deployed, everything developed and deployed in these resource groups. So important of resource group. Resource group provides benefit like easy management, billing, budgeting, access control, security, audit through Azure policy. So and we can also, so if you see here, we can also monitor our resource utilization to achieve maximum cost optimization. Like I said before, if you want to turn off any unnecessary resources, you can do that, and you can control your billing. And these are the Microsoft data centers. For example, why I have given this slide is, so if I'm developing a project Contoso in Eastern US, then I have to take, even though I'm in India, my client is in East US. So what I have to do is I have to take the subscription of Eastern US. And this, we have to be aware of all the data centers that Microsoft has, where and where. Why we need the info is, each and every data center has their disaster recovery methods and backup methods. For example, my project is in Eastern US, so I have taken a client subscription for Eastern US. And if we see that there is a disaster of flooding that had happened, and there was a complete application downtime. So, and we might be scared that we might lose our data, we might lose our progress. So each and every data center has a typical disaster recovery method. Actually, this is a site where if you hover on the image, it will show you the disaster recovery method and their backup method. For example, Eastern US was hit by some disaster. That time, we'll have some other data center as the backup. And there are some disaster recovery steps that we follow to take up the backup of the data, the networking, everything inside the Microsoft Azure. So what is Azure location? Azure location is the set of data centers deployed in a geographical area, and it refers to the specific area where the data is stored. And why do we want to take the subscription of that particular client location? Actually, if we see, there's a time zone difference all the time, and this is the major issue we face while developing any application. For example, if I would see that, let me show the contact creation. So I am in the UI is in India. I have created this UI from Indian time zone, and the client is looking for a hotel with his time zone. So I should be able to understand what his time zone is and what his requirements are. Sometimes we have daylight saving, and when there is a daylight saving, it's like we have to entirely depend on their timing only. We can't adjust. We don't know when it starts, when it ends, and we can't change our code all the time. Like when the daylight saving starts, it's not like we add +1, or it's not like we add -1. It's not in our hands. So what we have to do is we completely rely on the time zone of the client. So whatever we are taking the subscription, we take it for the client location, so that when we have the client location in hand, we will convert all the times to the client time zone. Because whenever a client sends me data, he will send it in his time zone, and I have to convert to my time zone. So there are some existing Bing Map APIs where we hit and we will get the time zone of a particular, based on the time format they send, we get the time zone of that person. So choosing a Azure location is one of the most important thing when taking the subscription. So why location matters? Because since I have said, location is crucial for optimal performance. So if he books a hotel at 10 a.m. his time, and if I book it as 10 p.m. our time, so there will be a clash. So Azure location always matters. And as I've already told, we have different disaster recovery methods and backup methods. So when you choose, we have to have an idea of what its backup method is and what are its disaster recovery methods. So as I've shown previously, when we take a Azure subscription, is a single directory will be assigned to that person, and wherein he can create multiple resource groups, storage accounts, users who can access this. So this is when a directory is created, a particular domain will be created, and you can create multiple domains for that subscription, and you can see these are all the services available. There are 200 plus services like resource group, app services. We will come in a detail about each one of them, how it acts as the infrastructure, how it acts as a platform, or how it acts as a software. So infrastructure as a service, how Microsoft Azure is acting as infrastructure as a service. Because if you see, most of the time the project people wants security. So they will ask, I don't want the developer to work directly in his local machine. I need my secured virtual machine. So during that time, we can create a virtual machine for that particular project, so that the developers can work inside it and it's completely secure. And we also said, why do we need storage? So I have created a contact. So I need to store it somewhere. So where will I store? We need some storage where it's a infrastructure. Earlier it was an infrastructure, but now it's not an infrastructure. It is being delivered to us in the cloud. and networking. And networking comes as public networking, private access, all that. Access control we do with the networking. So Azure, for example, if there's a physical infrastructure, and if there is a damage to the physical infrastructure, we lose all our data. And if we lose any production data, it's like a major issue. So in order to avoid such issues, it's better we have the storage machines and backup all that in the cloud, which is very cost effective and scalable. As I've said, virtual machines are highly available, scalable, and cost effective. So to expand more about virtual machine, it's kind of a same application which runs in your machine, and where you will be able to develop and test your progress on your application. So Azure storage services, we have different types of storages that Azure offer. Some of them are blob storage, file storage, and data lake storage. So, and there are queue storages as well. So we select the type of the storage based on the business need and the requirement. For example, we have queue storage where we can store only 64 KB of data, and that too in a very structured way. For example, I can use queues for creating a contact, because the contact hardly requires the first name, last name, email, and a phone number. No, nothing more than that. Whereas Azure Blob Storage is used for unstructured data, and it's very scalable. It can store huge amount of data. And you can say, we don't know the requirement. It's not the contact all the time. It's about multiple tables, multiple integrations. So we select our storage based on our business requirement and usage. Sometimes Azure files, where you can share your files from the Azure. For example, if there is some third-party vendor for which holds some of your project data, they will share you some files in that Azure location. It will be accessible only for the persons who are in that project. So Azure blobs are highly scalable. It stores huge amount of data, and it's highly durable, and it's available all the time. It's not from everywhere. You don't need to be at that particular location to avail that data. Similarly, for the Azure files, I'll give some small example where this storage comes into picture. So generally, since we have taken example as Trivago, sorry to stop. Let me know, is this fine, or do you have any questions? You can post it in the chat so that I can answer till now.
Yes, madam. At the end, we have to go through the queries, if any, and we can conclude the session.
Sure. Thank you. So let me give an example where we need this storage. For example, since we have taken the example of Trivago, an application where we book cheaper hotels, and we have similar kind of so many applications for flight booking or many other bookings that we are doing on day-to-day basis. So Trivago needs the data of for a particular place. For example, Hyderabad, it needs the data of all the hotels, whether they are booked or free or going to be free. All that data has to be there with the Trivago so that he can display to his end users. So how is he going to get the data? He can either get it, if it's a static data, he can get it based on schedule to schedule. For example, so every half an hour, the data in the Trivago will refresh. How is it is we have Azure data factories, which brings the data from the third parties to our application, or it can be real-time data. So means it might change, right? If there's a booking, the booking might get cancelled and the room may be available on time. So there may be real-time data or static data. So all this data has to be stored somewhere. It has to be updated in some specific storage. So we need Azure storages for that purpose. Azure tools and resources. I have shown the slide of the Azure portal earlier, where it is a web-based management console that provides a uniform experience for managing Azure services and resources. That's the portal page I have shown previously. This is the Azure portal. Azure CLI is a command line interface used to manage Azure resources and services. And whenever you are working on Azure, these days we have copilots, we have AI that has come in place and doing doing the work with rapid speed. So, for example, if I want to create an API, an application programming interface, then we have a quick start templates. So it will give you like the basic template. For example, if I want to create a Power Platform slide, it will give the examples of templates, right? Saying that you can create it in this format, this format. So Azure also has that Azure quick start templates. As I've said earlier, for the storage, we have Azure Data Factory, where we build many pipelines. Pipelines is nothing but assume that the pipeline end is connected to one vendor and it is the other end is connected to our application. It flows the data from the third party vendors to our application, where you can use that data in your application. For example, Azure Data Factory Pipelines allows user to build end-to-end movement workflows that integrate data from various sources and perform transformation as required. For example, how we do is, how we do the, generally in real time, how we do this pipeline is, we have two types. One is schedule trigger, one is the other one is event trigger. So what we do, for every 5 minutes, we run the pipeline. Basically, if Microsoft is working on a project and it has some other vendors who has some information related to our project, we need to get that data to my application inside the Microsoft through Azure Data Factory, where we hit their APIs. Either we hit their API, or we will ask them to dump their data into some of our storage, Azure storage, so that I can retrieve that data from that storage, or I can hit their application using API and get their response of the API and use that data in my application. So what is a schedule trigger and what is an event trigger? Schedule trigger is, the name itself says it's scheduled. It will be scheduled for based on your requirement. If you say that my data won't get changed for one day completely, we can run the pipeline only once in a day. And if not, if you say that it's a real time, it's a continuous process, the data will be updated continuously. So that time we will reduce the schedule time to minimal time, and we will run the pipeline so that we get the data from the other source continuously. Or you can also say that event trigger. If a particular event occurs, then only my pipeline should trigger. If not, not required. It means, for example, event, we can say that when a hotel booking has been done, then only I want to trigger my pipeline. If not, I don't want to. Then in that case, it will be an event trigger. And we will also perform various operations inside this pipeline. For example, it will pass on the data that the third party source has, all the data, and we don't require all the data. Then what we do is we will do a filter on the data, and we will fetch only the data that is required for us. And sometimes since you might be aware of JSON serializer objects, right? So sometimes the third party person will send their data in an XML format or JSON format. And my CRM is a kind of application where the data is stored in the tables in the string format, in format, or is a choice. I hope you have all the knowledge of the different data types. So in that case, since my input is a JSON or an XML, how am I going to dump that data into my CRM? I need to perform some filtering criteria, some deserializations inside the pipeline so that I get the data in the required format. For example, if I get it as a JSON, then I will perform deserialized JSON stored procedure. Since you belong to computer science, I think we have knowledge of database management system and store procedures, where we write SQL queries and store them, and we use the queries when required. Since we have the format fixed, we know when we have the third party source, we'll reach them for what is their input payload, what is their output payload, their format. Since we have the format in hand, we will deserialize their data and convert into the required format. Pipelines in Azure Data Factory. If you have seen, as explained, pipelines in Azure Data Factory are used to define a series of activities that transform and move data from source to destination. They are building blocks of workflows in Azure Data Factory. So if you see that pipelines can be created directly in the UI, it's a very friendly language. Since I've connected from my personal laptop, I'm not able to show the demo, but it's kind of a drop down. It's not a code. It's a drop down where we connect with various sources with the link services. You should have come out how the pipeline will connect to the CRM, how the pipeline will connect with the third party source. Inside the pipeline, we will configure linked services wherein we create the connections with the CRM, with the third party source. So, and if you see, it's a drag and drop interface. We will drag. First, we will drag the link service of the third party source. Then I will drag and drop the transform SQL, where I will write some stored procedures which transforms my data. And again, I'll call the link service of the CRM, where I will connect my the data to the CRM, and I will dump that all the data to one desired entity, and I'll use that data for my application. As I've said, there are two types of triggers in the Azure Data Factory. That is the time triggers and the event triggers. As explained earlier, it depends upon the timing. If we can set up daily, weekly, monthly, we don't set up those long durations generally. In Microsoft, in my project, we run the pipelines for each 5 minutes, each 15 minutes, and 2 hours based on our requirement. And event triggers is, for example, only when there is a change in the third party system, that time only if I want to get the data. So they will trigger an event, and that event will push the data from the third party source to our CRM. So what are data flows? Data flows are nothing but I have said, right, we create a link service and we will do the transformation. The data flows are the place where we do transformations inside the pipeline. What kind of transformation? Built-in transformation, custom transformation. Built-in transformations are nothing but, for example, you can directly write an if condition inside. For example, when you are connecting the data from the link service to your data flow, you can write fetch if condition. If the name is only Pushpa, then only fetch the data. Other data I don't want. I want only the data of Pushpa. Or you don't know what is your input output payload. That time we need to write some stored procedures. Those are custom transformations. You write your code and you will call that code inside the data flow to do the transformation of the data. Those are custom transformations. So what are the real world use cases? Integrating data from multiple sources, migrating data to the cloud, and building a data warehouse. Sometimes if I need to really take the backup of the contacts or the sign-ins that have been done daily. For example, if 30 users have signed into your application and you want to take up the backup of their data daily, you will run your pipeline from CRM and you will migrate that data to the cloud. So basically, Azure Data Factory is all about cloud-based data integration, which allows you to ingest, transform, and load data from various sources into a unified format. It simplifies the complex and time-consuming task of integrating data from multiple sources. It's if you see the real-time picture also, it will be like a pipeline. And it's not about a long lines of code or something. It's kind of a plug and play. Azure security and management. So we are saying that Azure is secure. And how are we saying that it's a secured system? So we have Azure Active Directory and Azure Security Center and Azure Monitor. Azure Active Directory is a cloud-based identity and access management system that helps you centralize identity and access management for your application and services. So each and every application will have different keys and secrets. So whoever has that particular subscription key can only access their data. So if you can say that if I know the secret, if I know the key, I'll be able to access it. No, the key vaults are very secure and it will be given access to only particular one person. And in our real-time project, we don't have access to, we developers do not have access to any of the subscriptions. The client only has the subscription keys and secrets with him. He will only create the keys and secrets inside our Microsoft Azure, where we will access the keys and we don't know the value, but we can access them being developers, and we will access them and we will do the required coding on it, and we will progress on the application. So what is Azure Monitor? This is one more beautiful feature or service provided by Azure. See, what in Dynamic CRM, what we do is we write some codes, Power Automates. We say that we have Power Automates is nothing but a kind of workflow. Like if we see the pipeline, we have designed one pipeline. We will see if it's failing for some reason. The pipelines might fail, saying that I'm unable to connect to CRM, I'm unable to connect to third-party source. So we don't have any supervisor to supervise the pipelines. So if you see the monitor, it will show you in a graph basis, like how many times the pipeline is successful, or how many times the pipeline had failed. Or if you write any custom logic like plugins, where we write .NET code, we have everything out of box. Out of box is nothing but the product functionality, inbuilt product functionality. And if we want some other logic to be implemented, we write some custom plugins in .NET. So those plugins will trigger based on the requirement. But if we don't know if the plugin is working fine in all the scenarios or not, so the monitor will show you how many times the plugin had triggered and how many times it had failed. So based on which we get the info, and we will do the necessary changes if required. As I have said, Azure Active Directory is a single sign-on and multi-factor authentication system. It's completely secure. We have a single set of login credentials. Only administrators have the access for that, and they will only create the keys, secrets, certificates, which are all required for the application. And you can say, why do we need these keys or secrets? For example, if I want to connect with a third-party vendor, so he doesn't want any person other than Microsoft to access his API. So he will create a key, and we will be able to, we don't know what is the secret of that key, but we will access it through our Azure accounts, and we will do the necessary development. It shouldn't be accessible to every person, right? So we have Azure Security Center, where we have this networking and identity and access management and data protection. As I've said, Azure Monitor, it will give the full stack monitoring of Azure resources, applications, alerting, insights. Alerting, it will alert you. Sometimes we for that we need to put some settings inside it, so that it will show you, it will alert you that your plugin is failing, or your Power Automate is failing, or your application is not doing well. It had some rise in this peak time, and it had fallen down in this peak time. So all that information can be known from the Azure Monitor. Platform as a service. So how platform as a service is, for example, Azure itself is being as a platform for the pipelines. It is a place where you can directly create your application, build, run, and manage your application without the complexity of infrastructure. And we have Azure Web Apps, SQL database. Azure Web Apps. What is this Azure Web Apps? Since we are connecting with multiple third parties, we need to create some application API inside the Azure. We will create inside the Azure, and they will provide us the URLs or their backend URLs, where we will use the backend URLs, and we will hit their system and get the data. All this logic is directly implemented in the Azure Web Apps. So it is being act as a platform as a service. Azure Service Bus. This is one more service that is being provided by Microsoft Azure. From the name itself, you understand it acts as a bus, kind of delivery between two applications. So I will tell you one real-time example where I am or our team is using the service bus. For example, if I created a contact, and if the contact want to create a hotel booking, so hotel booking is not in Trivaga's hand. It is completely dependent on the hotel which is being selected. For example, if I selected Novotel, Novotel is responsible for the booking. It's not Trivago. Trivago won't book it. It will take the details of the contact person, and it will send these details to Novotel, saying that this particular person want to book a room in your hotel. So how are we going to do that? So we will, what we do is we will create a input payload with all the necessary details. For example, Novotel says that I want all my contact details in a specific format. So they will give you the format in which they are expecting the data. You will format the contact details and the required room details, how many people are checking in, and what is the time of their check-in. All the details, you will send it as an input parameter to the Novotel. How we are sending it? First, I will send this data to the service bus. And this service bus, when the message is in service bus, we write some code. like Azure functions. We write some, it's a .NET code and it's a pretty easy one where we write some code. We will see that whenever a message comes inside the service bus, we will pick up the message, we will process the message, and we will sync that message to Novotel. In the example, our third party source is here, now Novotel. So I will push this message, my contact details message to the service bus. From the service bus, there will be an Azure function which will run in the background, and it will sync that message to Novotel. And if the booking is then, once we hit the API gives us an output response saying that, for example, Novotel says the response that the room is successfully booked, or there is already a person who have booked this hotel and it's not available. That data should sync back to us, to our application. So we will get the response from the Novotel and we will see the response, process the message saying that it is either successful, not successful, based on the response we get from the third party source. Highly reliable message delivery and multiple protocols, scalability and flexibility. Scalability and flexibility will be based on the type of service bus that you choose. There are two types actually, Azure Service Bus Queue and Azure Service Bus Topic. So from your application, you will format the data and you will put the message in the service bus queue. Service bus queue is a single subscription. We don't have multiple buses here. We have only one subscription, and it's a first in first out processing. And we will pick up this message in the queue, and we will, here in between we have a Azure function logic where we push the code to a receiver and we will get the response back, and we will store the response again back to our web app, because I should know that for this particular person if the hotel booking is successful or not. So I will have to store that information, store that response. And if you see the Azure Service Bus topics, it's in one topic you can create multiple subscriptions. So I can give an example here. So we don't know which hotel the person is going to book. So we will take this topic and we will create multiple subscriptions for each and every hotel. And we will put the message accordingly in the respective subscription based on the hotel the person chooses. And in the Azure function, we will write the code that this person has chosen Novotel. So sync this to Novotel API, not to other hotels. So based on the subscription we select, we sync them to the third party source receiver. What are Azure functions? So as I've said, Azure functions are event triggered code without, for example, what is an event trigger? So what is an event? So if I put a message inside the service bus, it is an event. So whenever a message comes in the service bus, I want it to be immediately processed. See, we don't need waiting. We always want everything in seconds. So as soon as the message comes in the service bus, the event will trigger and the code inside the Azure function will trigger. And we will send the message to the third-party receiver and we get the response from them. So there are different triggers for Azure function: timer trigger, blob trigger, event trigger, HTTP trigger, service bus trigger. Timer trigger is, for example, if a person books a hotel and it's unsuccessful because the room is occupied. So sometimes there in the service bus we have main service bus and a dead letter service bus, and we have a retry mechanism. For example, if I had pushed the message in the service bus and it's an unsuccessful from the receiver side, I will try for 3 times, and after 3 times the message in the service bus will be pushed to the dead letter. Dead letter is also nothing but it's a service bus only. So we will see ki after some time After 1 hour, we will try for that message. So I will trigger my Azure function for every 1 hour, seeing that my dead letter messages, for example, if that person gets that booking or not, if it is the room is now open or not. And blob trigger is whenever some data is stored in, if a new contact is created in the blob storage, that time I want to trigger my Azure function. Or event hub trigger or HTTP trigger. If I hit some HTTP URL, that time I want my function to trigger. So these are the types of triggers that are available right now. So how we create the Azure function? Where are we going to place this Azure function? For example, Function App is one more service that is being provided by the Microsoft Azure, where we deploy or publish our functions, where we write the custom code. For example, first, how to begin with a Function App. You'll write your Azure function in Visual Studio, and you will add a new function. You'll choose the type of the trigger, write the logic, all the logic where we need to hit the third-party URL, and we need to read the response, and we will so it's not enough that if we write the Azure function, it will work. We have to publish it somewhere. So we will create a function app in the Microsoft Azure, and we will publish this Azure function into that function app, and that will be deployed to Azure. So when this deployment is done, then only the code will work. So whenever we create Azure function and publish it, then only the code will run successfully. So Azure Web Apps. As I've said earlier, we create multiple web applications to APIs, and all the means for integrating data between application and application, we will create the apps inside the Microsoft Azure, and we have this automatic scaling, and for example, how to handle the traffic spikes, and we ensure that all the applications are available to users. Continuous deployment. For example, if we know, right, products, they are growing rapidly. So those products undergo multiple changes daily. And if I take a subscription, during that time, some feature is not available in the product. And after there is a continuous product group who are working on developing. For example, if you see, Gmail, initially we were not able to attach a simple image. Now we were able to upload up to 25 MB. So there is continuous development going on various products. Seeing our mobile also, in earlier it was a small device. Now if you see Android versions, different versions are coming up with enhancements. So we need to deploy them. We always get an update, right? Update your Android, update your iPhone with the latest deployment. So the team will be doing continuous deployment to the Azure, so that the product is enhanced and we can use the product in the efficient way. So as I've said, Azure Key Vault. What is an Azure Key Vault? It's a place where we store all our keys, secrets, and we have different access policies, like only administrator can access some particular keys, and some subscriptions will be availed by only some people. So for that, we always have the InfoSec who will be seeing the accesses, whether if the access is given to only the desired persons or not. Or vault hierarchy means we have different hierarchies, right? For example, if in a project the access sometimes will be given to the leads, sometimes given to the managers, sometimes to the developers. It depends upon the client and their policies. So Azure Key Vault usage: creating a key vault, adding and managing secrets, encrypting and decrypting data. So mostly the clients are the persons, or the architects of the project will create the key vaults, and they will provide access for us for development. And each and every third party source has their various keys. It's not like it depends upon the vendor. If he want to store what kind of storage, also as a secret, he can create one key vault, key secret pair inside the key vault. So supported key types in Key Vault, we have secrets, keys, certificates. Secrets are nothing but we have the passwords, connection strings, and secure other sensitive configuration data. What are connection strings? Connection strings are nothing but, for example, if you have that particular connection string with you, you will be able to access their environment and their application. So, and and the clients don't want the application to be used by all the users. So they maintain those connection strings, passwords, everything as a secrets inside the key vault. And keys: create, store, control access to the cryptographic keys used for data and encryption and decryption. Keys are nothing but I will give different key names so that the other person won't be able to understand. For example, I can say that DB storage. If I want to store the table name, I can give my own key name for it. And we will also maintain certificates inside the key vault. So we have seen how Azure acts as infrastructure as service, platform as service. Now we are going to see how it acts as software. So software as a service is a cloud computing model where software applications are provided as a service over the internet. It eliminates the need for businesses to install or maintain their own servers. And they provide the access to the application based on the subscription basis. For example, we have Office 365, Dynamics 365. All these are the software applications readily available. Those are the Microsoft products where you buy a subscription and you can use for your application development. For example, Office 365 has like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. If you see, the recent Office 365 has inbuilt co-pilots wherein, for example, in the PowerPoint, you can click on the co-pilot and say, create a PowerPoint presentation for Microsoft Azure, and it will give you all the slides. And in the Excel, in the Outlook, if you want to say that, write a sick leave letter for my manager, it will write all the emails. So the product has updated a lot, and based on the subscription type you take, you will get the access of that software application. For example, you need to buy the Microsoft 365 CD to install it. So if not, there are some previous old versions which are available for free. We can use them. So for better updates or better enhancements, we need to take the updated versions of the software. One more application that we GD in Microsoft global delivery in Microsoft use is this Dynamics 365. Dynamics 365, we use it for sales, customer service, CRM, ERP, finance. All this we use the Dynamics 365. How we use the Dynamics 365 in the customer service? For example, if you buy a laptop, you are the contact for the laptop company, and if you know, right, if you have warranty and you have free services available for within one year, then if you have any issue with your laptop, then you can raise a complaint. Excuse me. So since you have seen the Dynamic 365 screen earlier, where you will create the cases, route the cases, and you will and resolve the issues. So all this is a software application readily available, where the case routing and the customer preferences will be saved within your D365 solution application. And we also have field service. For example, if you say that your AC has some complaint, you need some resource to come to your place and fix it. So that time we have D365 field service application, where we see the available resources. For example, if I am booking for an AC repair from Hyderabad city, then and for a particular location, we have different field services at different places, and we will route that case to that particular place, and the person, based on the resource availability, we will assign that task to a particular person, so that the person comes and fixes your AC problem. So this is one more software application that is readily available, that is Dynamics 365. So if you see D365 integration, this is the overall picture, how we have all this, like software as a service, or infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service. If you see D365 user, he will push the message. For example, if a person in the UI says that there's a AC complaint, he will send that data to the Azure service bus, and we will process that message in the Azure service bus, and we will, for example, if the AC belongs to LG, we will send that to the LG person, we will get the response, and we will connect to the person. For example, a field service application is there, right? We will connect to the resource, and we will get back the response, and we will say that to this user, that this particular user resource has been available for, and he is assigned for your ticket. And we'll store all the tickets inside, and we will work on the tickets accordingly based on the level of priority. So the real world examples are retail industry, healthcare industry, and financial services industry. So retail industry, as I have said, for example, where we have multiple sales. One sale where I can say is Coke. We all drink Coke, right? So there's a big project that has been running on in the Coke background, saying that where we have to deliver the Coke tins, and what is the quantity, what is the billing. So all this finance, all this will be executed in background in Microsoft Azure. And in healthcare also, in the patient care operations, we have the data storage, right? So we have SQL, Azure SQL DB installed in the healthcare person, so that they get the data continuously, and they can streamline their operations. So I conclude saying that it's a powerful cloud computing platform that offers a range of services and solutions to help the business drive innovation and growth. So you can try with a free trial and explore what all are the services that are available. And the free trial comes with some $1 or something, and you can see what all services it is offering. There are multiple other services like Azure Communication Services, which is also a wonderful service that is being used in real-time projects, where we create multiple events based on the type of messages that the clients send. So just try to get the free trial version, and try to see what all, because I don't want you to spend more money on creating resource groups or something. Just see what all our services are available, and try to understand more about the services. So this is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your valuable insights. So now I request all the participants to enable the camera for the photo session.
Madam, before starting the photo session, Okay, let us ask the students any queries.
Yeah, any queries you can
Any queries? Can unmute yourself. Madam, make unmute permission.
Okay, sir.
Okay, anyone who have any query, how to unmute yourself and ask the query, or otherwise put it in chat. Madam, from my side, one query. Can you give me brief analysis of advantages of Azure over other cloud platforms like Amazon or Google?
It's more kind of a plug and play, sir, and we have multiple enhancements that had been done in Microsoft Azure. As I've told you, right, we'll get the quick templates, and for example, anything, we don't need to write code.
Okay.
Even if you want to write an Azure function, it will give you the mostly everything, the entire the syntax. Since I'm from a non-computer science background, I'm not much into coding, but even then it's kind of a plug and play, right? So it's very easy, and there are multiple services that Microsoft Azure offers. For example, which I have told the communication services, right? Where, for example, if you send an SMS, and that if that SMS is stopped at a carrier level itself, that SMS will be taken as an event by the Azure.
If I want to take the subscription of some GPUs from Azure, okay, for virtual machines for the day-to-day lab experiments of our students. Okay, how it will help for me or for my department to establish a virtual lab.
So it depends, sir. As I said, it's a pay as you go method.
Okay.
Because you might it might increase for the for example, if you subscribe for 20 students first, and if you increase it more under your subscription, so it depends upon the number of resources you are creating, you are using. And you can see that every billing, how it is being billed in that in your subscription, there's a separate billing tab there.
Okay.
How they are being charged, or how, for example, if you create multiple, so it depends. It's not much, but for students, I say it is not much, but for projects, it's more.
Okay. Then is this Dynamics 365 is new product?
No, it's a well-established product, sir, and we have it from so long, from my childhood itself. I think we have this product, but it was enhanced more these days. And it's a very good product of Microsoft, where we have multiple projects. We have hundreds of projects running on Dynamics 365.
Okay. Any queries? Any queries? Madam, just continue the proceedings.
Okay, sir. So we are grateful to present an e-memento to the resource person, M. Pushpalata ma'am.
Thank you. Let me stop my sharing so that I can. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks for the memento and for this wonderful opportunity.
Now I would like to switch on your cameras for the photo session. I request all the student participants to switch on your camera. Thank you all. So I request all the participants to fill the feedback form, which was posted in a chat box. Now I invite P. Saroja ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so elated to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I'm immensely thankful to the resource person, M. Pushpalata Garu, for gracing the event and sharing her knowledge with us. You're really a great resource to us, ma'am. Thank you so much. A special mention to our HOD sir, Professor V. Chandrasekhar Garu, who has been a backbone of CSE department for organizing this webinar. Thank you so much, sir. And I extend my gratitude towards our management members also for encouraging us and supporting us to conduct like this events. And I would also like to thank all the coordinators of this webinar. Finally, I thank all the faculty and the students who have participated in this event because without their cooperation, it won't be a successful. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, Pushpalata madam, for having a nice time with you, for delivering a wonderful information regarding Azure, and hope we will continue the same in future also to get some information from your side to enhance the skills of the students and as well as the faculty also. Thank you very much, madam.
Sure, sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much to everyone. So those who fill the Google form will only get the certificate of this webinar. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.